France and Armenia have today come together to celebrate their shared musical great, Charles Aznavour, who's died at the age of 94. A solemn national tribute was held for him at Invalides Stadium in central Paris. Emmanuel Macron and his Armenian counterpart Nikol Pachinian leading those commemorations, Macron calling him one of France's poets, while Pachinian described Aznavour as a great artist and a humanist. Let's take a listen then to both of those leaders speaking at the ceremony.
Pendant près d'un siècle,
For nearly a century,
c'est lui.
he's the one who brought us life. To our hidden frailties, our runaway feelings, to our melancholies and our hopes, he held out a consoling mirror, which for centuries will make our lives gentler, our tears less bitter, and our joys greater.
Well, covering that ceremony for us at Invalides today was our own Catherine Norris-Trent. I spoke to her a bit earlier on, and I started off by asking her to tell us a bit more about the atmosphere at Invalides.
There were absolute glowing tributes paid to Charles Aznavour at this national tribute to him here at Les Invalides. Some of the highest praise possible, really. French President Emmanuel Macron said that his songs had been like soothing balms or remedies, comforting millions of people around the world. And he praised Aznavour for his use of the French language and his embrace of French values. He was born in Paris, but to immigrant parents who'd fled Armenia back in 1915, fleeing the Armenian genocide. But Emmanuel Macron described Charles Aznavour as a true Frenchman, a true Parisian, who was one of the faces of France. He called Aznavour a poet and said in his final words that in France, poets never die. Very moving words too from the Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pachinian. He said that Armenians had an infinite love inside them for Charles Aznavour and spoke about the National Day of Mourning, which is being observed in Armenia for the legend that is Charles Aznavour there. Several streets and city squares named after him, statues of him erected. So a huge loss for many people in both France and Armenia and around the world today.
Catherine, though, we had been hearing there was a little bit of scepticism, though, regarding this ceremony. Some people feeling perhaps it didn't represent the colourful nature of Aznavour's life.
Absolutely. Charles Aznavour had a showbiz career for 8 decades. He started out as a child actor and then was involved in cabaret during the Second World War in Paris and had a very colourful life indeed, hanging around with some of the biggest stars in the entertainment world for decades, very close to Edith Piaf, but also in Hollywood and friends with Americans such as Ray Charles and Sammy Davis Jr., Liza Minnelli. And there were some scepticism that today's very official military ceremony didn't reflect the colourful life that he led, the very vibrant life that he led. He'd always been seeking to break taboos, singing about subjects such as sexuality. One of his best-known songs was about a gay transvestite man in a time when that was still very taboo. And indeed, Charles Aznavour himself had said before he died that he wanted his funeral to be as short as possible. So some people saying perhaps that those wishes not taken into account. But the huge love for Charles Aznavour in France meant that the government wanted to give him a national tribute, as other huge figures in French life have received, and that therefore takes this very choreographed, very official, very solemn form.
Catherine